This was developed by royalty in the 1700s and afterwards. First to imitate Dutch gardens, and later to resemble English gardens. And very, very beautiful. We biked in there and just spent a long time wandering around. Finally, after that, we went down to Dessau. And Dessau is where the famous Bauhaus school, just about every kind of art you can think of, existed in the 1920s and 30s until the Nazis broke it up. There in Dessau, there was art, music, theater, painting, plays there, architecture, Vanderbilt, I think, was there. And they had these master's classes in Dessau, which are the houses where the architect experts live and design themselves. And this shows my little porter taking our 2 suitcases down the street. She was very good at that. And so that's Joni marching past the Bauhaus house. The city, like Dresden, was absolutely destroyed by bombing. The Germans were making more things there. What are you going to do? So then we got on the train and left our bikes at the last stop, took the train back to Berlin, and once in a while I take these pictures of how many bikes there are around. It is just everywhere. People are very bike savvy. They love it. So that's at the train station. Then we went back to Berlin, and this shows the Museum Insel, Museum Island in the middle of the city, which has half a dozen fantastic museums. Nefertiti is there, the Heaven Nefertiti, the Pergamon Museum is there, Ishtar Gate in Babylon is just amazing stuff, wonderful painting. And as you see, the light rail runs right through it, so we can get around Berlin very easily. And we hung out in Berlin for a few days. We reward ourselves after one of these active trips by hanging out somewhere and looking at some paintings and stuff like that. Well, this is the Charlottenburg Palace, 17th century palace built by Frederick's for his wife, somebody Charlotte, I forget. Utterly, totally destroyed by her and bombing the war. They rebuilt it. Berlin was just flat, after 80% long. And Charlottenburg is something that's they restored it very carefully. We hung around, went to different museums. Here's the Picasso lady. There was a museum across the street. A museum donated by Mr. Bergerlin, who had to flee Germany. I think he may have been Jewish. He had to flee Germany, but he sort of came to went back home again and gave a museum. There's a wonderful collection there. And this is Joni. Joni and I like visiting nurse agencies and VNAs. Right? This is a German VNA car. It's a smart car. It's called the House the House Krockenflego Regenbogen. So this is for Joan with the DNA. And the next is your story.
Please use the microphone, Joan.
Could you hear me all right?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The next trip was an elder hostel trip, and now, of course, they're referred to as road scholars. You're probably getting the literature in the mail. It's no longer elder hostel. And Jack Cassidy, whom we met some years ago, recommended this trip to you. I know some people who are friends of his. So that's how we got started. We met our elder hostel group in Munich very early one morning, and we all were taken by coach to a little town where we had our first hotel. But when we were all gathering together, we discovered that not one, not two, but a few of the couples or single people that were on that Danube trip were returnees. Why? Because they had such a fantastic time with the leader, whose name was Earhart. Before we get to that, we essentially biked from Passau to Vienna. You can see that. And we went through a major city of Linz and went through Melk. So those were the featured towns that we pedaled through. I have to tell you, we rode along the Danube and it was absolutely spectacular. Most of the time on the dedicated bike paths. Sometimes going into towns, you are confronted with having to manage traffic and roundabouts and people who are in your way. But we were instructed by our leaders how to manage the safety rules. There's a question.
Is it still 7 days, 120 miles, something like that?
How many days was that?
I'll have to get the count out.
Yeah.
But it's roughly.
It's roughly 7 days. And once again, sometimes you stay in one town and one hotel for more than one night.
I can amplify that answer a little bit. On these trips, if you want to do a little more, but if you're biking by yourself, you can have them tack on more to the trip. So you can make it any length you like. Our shortest was 5 days, I think our longest was 8. So all of that's great.
And sometimes we averaged 35 miles per day, others 40 miles per day. It's not heavy duty because you start off biking and then in the middle of the morning everybody stops and has a snack and then bike some more for a couple of hours and have lunch. And then the same thing happens in the afternoon. So it's not as if the way we do around here, we bike to a destination and turn around and come back. It's very nicely planned. You want to take advantage of, if the weather is good, that, and do some sightseeing. And with an elder hostel group, you start to, which is one of the features, as some of you know who have been on group planned trips, the features are that you start to establish relationships with people. So you have companionship besides your spouse, whom I think is just terrific, and did 3 out of 4 trips on our own, so you kind of get the idea. Our second trip was elder hostel, and then we reverted back to planning independently. But I can't say enough about this elder hostel trip. It was fabulous. That's just...
What time of year was this?
This was this in June? Yeah. It's a nice time to go before the truly height of the tourist season. Very nice weather. Did you have any more questions about clothing? And also the bikes are equipped with racks so that you can take whatever you need for the day and place that in a backpack or some little rainproof container. Your lunch, extra gear, rain gear, and then Bicycle Man has taken your carry-on luggage and is transporting it to your next hotel. Yes?
What about security? You lock them up at the stop?
We stopped with the group, but yes, they give us locks. Absolutely, and that's a really good question. Regardless of where you are in this world of ours, it's just smart to be careful about that. So that's Earhart, if you can see him, a great big man, very, very jolly, loaded with personality, and this is one of the chief reasons that people came back. He had a golden voice, and he played the accordion. So you can imagine what we were doing every night, besides drinking the beer and the wine. We were dancing all around. And his colleague, Charlie was with the Air Force, very precise man, and then eventually became an air traffic controller. And you know